Hello, this is Texas Grassroots Alliance live stream, and I'm Neil Aquino here in Houston with the Houston Democracy Project, and we have Alex and Danita joining us. Where are you at today?
We are both in Dallas.
Dallas.
We came here that we're going to talk a little bit about tomorrow, but there was a press conference that if folks go to the Texas Grassroots Alliance Facebook page, they'll see a press conference of a coalition of organizations about the election. And you may have a little bit more information on that real quick to share with folks. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay, now hold up. Before we go to Danita, I'm going. Hold on. I'm here to mansplain your introduction. But the Texas Grassroots Alliance live stream, and we do this show 1 to 2 times a week, different hosts, different formats, different subjects. And we are giving an autonomous voice to Texas grassroots organizers, the Texas Grassroots Alliance, and watch, share, spread around this show. And we are looking to create networks of action, safety, ideas, communication, and the use of our talents for Texas grassroots organizers. And that's the purpose of the show. And we are going on through November and beyond with Texas Grassroots Alliance live stream. Danita, what do you thank you for waiting? What do you got?
Well, like Alex said, we're here in Dallas at the Good Co-working Space. We were here for a press conference regarding Stop Cop City. And so, yes, we're in Dallas trying to stop Cop City. It is on the election ballot, Proposition F, vote no, to fund Cop City. They have been very strategic in not putting any pertinent information that a voter needs to make an informed decision. They have labeled it as a public safety bill, so to speak.
So before you go on, and all three of us are kind of the co-hosts of this. But what's a cop? So we all know what a cop city is, and we're in activist circles where we hear about Cop City. Just explain a little bit what a cop city is.
So basically, Cop City is the training ground for the city of Dallas, or whatever city is being proposed in, that city's police department, sheriff department, but also because of the size and complexity of the programming that they will have, they will also be training international armed forces as well, and having international armed forces come over and provide the training. And so we've had enough militarization of our police forces as well. We've seen that since George Floyd, and even since before then. Our militarized police force use things that are banned in warfare. They don't even use tear gas, in active, yet they use resident citizens of the city they're in. And so this is what's coming. This is the training that's going to happen. And they're looking for $90 million of a bond issued to pass by the residents, but yet didn't even include ever a town hall of any kind, even though they indicated that they were. But residents and other organizations and door knocking, once they spoke with those residents, the residents didn't even know what was happening. So did you do a town hall, or did you dream of a town hall? Because the residents are not informed of what's happening.
So let me ask you a couple of quick fire questions then. And so I've been a keyboard warrior opposing the Atlanta Cop City, and that's where Atlanta has been the sort of an epicenter of this. There's been a substantial movement where they've made the people protesting it. This is a side subject, but they've given them RICO violations and made like opposition to this Cop City in Atlanta be like you're a mobster or something like that, just to show you how far they'll go. And these places, my understanding is inside of them, they got like fake cities and all of these different platforms. And this is even beyond, right? You think we already got a police academy and a shooting range and a canine and a horse galloping place. We think we got all the facilities, but now somehow we need more.
Yes. And according, like one of the comrades stated in the press conference, one of the police chief indicated that we need it because his cadets didn't have showers. There wasn't enough showers or restrooms for them. So that's the big push for it. To, and my thing is, if you're in your home and I'm in my home and we need another bathroom, we just remodel our home to accommodate a new bathroom. We don't build a new house just because we want a new bathroom.
Okay, well, we're going to stop you from defunding our police bathrooms, let me tell you. And we're going to, if you're watching us, we've got a crowd, we've got an audience. If you're watching this, leave a comment in the chat. We'd love to hear your comment or chat. And then I'll make one more question. I'll let Alex or Danita ask a question or make a point. These things, now I know Eric, what's the mayor? Eric Johnson is the mayor of Dallas. And he switched parties. But these things, just to make a point, these things are happening in Democratic cities. Atlanta, I think there's one coming in Baltimore. So it's important to know. We attribute, and we're going to talk about Greg Abbott and DPS and the authoritarian UT. But it's important to remember as we talk about a police state that it's coming from the people we vote for in our cities with our tax dollars. It's not coming from Greg Abbott or Donald Trump.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this is where we see Democrats continue to lack the strength and backbone to stand up to law enforcement. You know, we saw movements around, defund the police, and that became such a bad thing to say because we were trying to, organizers were trying to tell people that we don't need a third or half or 2/3 of our city budget going to the law enforcement aspect of our
Right.
cities. We need to disperse those funds into other ways to try to help support people, right? And so
Yeah.
We saw Democrats really struggle with fighting against the propaganda that came from police unions who have shown an willingness to be very radical and aligned with the far right movement in a lot of ways. And so this is something where cities and Democratic elected officials really struggle around this topic because they don't want to be seen as anti-police. And I think what we're trying to have a conversation around is there's a lot of needs that our communities have, and you keep trying to solve it with law enforcement, and that's just not going to work.
So Alex,
and so not inequity that
Yeah.
is existence, is the bigger problem here.
Danita, you were going to say something?
Yeah, I was just going to. There's such. I mean, can you imagine what the city of Dallas can do with $90 million for the homeless, for our children, for our teachers, or just for the basic infrastructure itself? We're a city where affordable housing is non-existent.
Right.
Affordable
Well, Alex,
housing
you used-
looks like apartment complexes have 2 apartments that fit the affordable housing mold because developers have discovered a loophole. As long as they offer one as affordable housing, they can come in and build. But here you have an entire city body, mayor and city council, all the same, basically saying, we don't value you, your children, your education more than we value the police department.
Right. And they're getting set to, the Supreme Court's getting set to criminalize homeless with that case. And Alex, you used the word propaganda, and never pass up the chance to use the word copaganda. It's one of my favorite.
Yeah. Propaganda, yeah, that's for sure. And I think this ties, really closely. We're going to have more guests tomorrow for everyone out there watching from the Dallas organizing community, talking about this effort and what they're doing to organize. So we're really excited about bringing more guests on tomorrow. But this really ties into what we're going to talk about, reflecting what happened at the University of Texas in Austin yesterday, and campuses throughout Texas, throughout the country, where students are protesting and are having a perspective and sharing their concerns around what is happening in the Israeli-Palestinian space, and not wanting to contribute to the genocide of what's happening to the Palestinian people. And so Governor Abbott went online to his enthusiasm around sending in the DPS to try to break up the protest. And we saw plenty of footage where students were getting arrested, where the press was getting arrested, and where escalation was done simply because our armed law enforcement was brought into the campus and made a peaceful protest approach into something really, really horrible. So we've talked about authoritarianism a lot here in the Alliance live stream because of what's happened at the border, what we've seen in other spaces, how we've seen Texas do things like the Houston ISD takeover, and all these different things that an authoritarian government wants to be able to do to have absolute control and to have absolute, to be able to instill fear into the community. And so, Neil, you shared, you wrote an article about this yesterday that we can share with folks. I can pull it up if that works best.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you had. Yeah, I'm sorry. No. I thought you had. I don't have it. I don't have it linked to. On my.
No worries. Let me pull it up for everyone.
Okay. I'm sorry.
And that way they can see this article as we talk about it. All right. Tell us what you wrote, Neil.
Great. So this is on the Houston Democracy Project blog, HoustonDemocracyProject.com. And, it was just a response that there was a large, I called it wild, aggressive response by DPS. And I made the point, as I've been making, that we asked young people of color to get involved in politics. But then when they do, we say, no, not like that. And then we arrest them and suspend them from college, right? And there's some parallel to that with Bernie 8 years ago. Hey, get involved. No, not like that. And so the article, if you'll scroll down a bit, I got to remember what I wrote. And the DPS, so they plunged into that yesterday, right? What they didn't plunge into was Uvalde, right? They didn't plunge into rescuing those kids, but they sure plunged in, like I think it was Danita referenced the journalist, that Fox News camera person. They tackled them like the Cowboys game or something. That person was slammed to the ground. It was clearly a journalist. The person had a big old camera on them. It was good to see the Texas Democratic Party make a statement. Of course, Texas Democratic Party and the Harris County Democratic Party have come out for a ceasefire. And and so there are connected issues. So yes, there's this Israeli-Palestinian issue, and then there's the policing issue. And yesterday's actions, and there were protests, I think, arrests this morning at Emory University in Atlanta. There were 108 people arrested at Emerson University in Boston. So in Boston, right? Not just, we talk about authoritarian, and people outside will say, oh, you people in Texas, why the hell do you live there? Well, there's 108 people arrested in Boston. There were arrests at Northwestern University in Chicago this morning. And Mayor Whitmire, our new mayor, has said that DPS should be invited to town to police our streets. They would be here to stop our protest against an overturned election, against the mass roundup of migrants that I think will happen even if Biden wins. I think that the states will just do that and independently. And I say, let's just work together to form networks of action and communication, support ideas and safety, just like the idea of this program. And we all need to find our way to one another. So that was my blog post at HoustonDemocracyProject.com. And I write on the blog most days, and there's a website there, and feel free to support it, and feel free to support the Texas Grassroots Alliance.
Go ahead, Danita.
I want to change the subject quickly, but take it back. But this just came through. The DA in Tarrant County is appealing Crystal Mason's case.
The DA in what county? My county, Harris County?
Tarrant County.
Oh, Tarrant County. Okay.
They're appealing her case. Her case was thrown out, and they are appealing that decision. They want her to retire.
Okay. Explain. Tell the folks, please, who Crystal Mason is.
Crystal Mason is an activist, voter, constituent friend that tried to cast a ballot nearly 6 years ago in an election in Tarrant County. However, her ballot was never counted. So technically, she never voted. And so they are trying to convict her for voter fraud because at the time Crystal was on probation, federal probation, not state probation,
Sure.
which has two different parameters. The federal does not supersede the state. Let's be clear about that. But they also don't advise their parolees that you can or cannot do this. And so it was not given to her that you still can't vote because she was on federal probation and not state probation.
Right. Well, you haven't changed the subject because it's the same authoritarian shit.
And the courts overturned, I think it was what, 2 weeks ago? They overturned the initial ruling and said, no, she didn't do anything wrong. Now let's move on. And the
Right.
DA has released a statement that he will repeal that ruling and he will prosecute her to the fullest extent.
Right.
Well, I don't think that could be right because what you seem to be positing to me is that they're hassling this one lady in a state where our leaders and Congress people support and participate in insurrection. Obviously, you're telling me a fanciful story. Are you telling me that they're hassling this lady even after a dismissal? And there may be no crime in Tarrant County. That's and the DA just is.
Well, actually, Jasmine Crockett just had the sheriff of Tarrant County, Sheriff Wayborn, at a congressional hearing.
Okay.
Had him go up to Washington, D.C. because there's all this funding and needs for law enforcement that Tarrant County Commissioner's Court with O'Hare, which we covered last week, is trying to continue to get increased funding. And Jasmine Crockett, there's a great clip that I think we'll show in a future meeting where she goes through all the statistics of crime have been down in Tarrant County. And she
Right.
goes through 6 major categories.
And
And I think this does really connect with everything we're talking about because you have Austin police working alongside DPS at a university where students are participating in the First Amendment rights. You have a Houston mayor who is saying that they welcome DPS and is encouraging their interaction with local law enforcement. You have Dallas where they're building Cop City and organizers are trying to fight that. And then you have Tarrant County that continues to fund more money to law enforcement, and now a DA that's attacking a individual citizen after 5 years of going through this process of their vote not even counting and their case being dismissed, still wanting to persecute and prosecute them in where links of. In Texas, you have 4 major areas just within this week showing you that whether they're Republican or Democrat, they are contributing to the local infrastructure that an authoritarian government will be able to utilize to be able to instill fear and to instill the controls that they want within these communities. And who lives in the majority of these communities or who's the people who live in these communities? It's Black and brown, diverse communities that we're seeing a lot of this movement on. And so I think the big ask we're having for folks, why we're talking about this on the live stream, is that we need everyone to really, really wake up around what is happening and understand that polite politics and this, trying to two sides of this argument in terms of, how we're going to be able to move forward and whether this is going to be something that we can do together. We need to understand that we are in a street fight right now with the rights and the lives of people living in our communities day in and day out.
And we're in a street fight with our hands tied.
Right, ma'am, go ahead.
Yeah.
Say it again, Danita. I'm sorry.
I said we're in a street fight with our hands tied behind our backs.
Right. And then we have in the Supreme Court of the United States today, and my understanding of the argument, I'm going to watch the replay on C-SPAN, and you can watch the replay on C-SPAN, the audio replay of the abortion rights or abortion, you have no rights case from Idaho yesterday. A lot of these arguments we talk about, you can watch them on C-SPAN on the website. But they asked, whatever justice asked Trump's attorney, does this immunity include killing a rival? And he said yes. So my understanding from the headlines I've seen is that the court seemed prone to maybe deny the full immunity, but essentially scuttle Jack Smith's case of election interference. And then you have, and I'm drawing this to the local. We would try to keep it Texas local. I'm drawing this to the local. So you have some, beyond the delaying tactics, they should have heard the immunity case 2 months ago, so these trials could move forward if they needed to hear it at all. And then some immunity has been granted. Trump talks about immunity for police officers. That's when we were going to give full immunity, not even the qualified immunity. That's still too much. And the local head of our Houston police union was on Fox News, not the local Fox, Fox News nationally, complaining about George Floyd body cameras. He was complaining about body cameras. They keep saying, oh, you know, it's these damn judges. But they don't want supervision. And when they talk about the judges, they're talking about how you vote, because we voted for the same ideological set of judges 4 times, 5 times in a row in Harris County. They don't like how you vote. They don't like you. They don't like how you vote. Okay, and so
yeah, so that was Justice Sotomayor that brought up that question,
right,
to the Supreme Court. And so, sorry, go ahead, Neil.
No, yeah, Trump with immunity, police with immunity. You're screwed.
And who's to say that Trump challenging for immunity doesn't mean Abbott's not going to try to challenge for immunity? That your mayor is not going to try to challenge for immunity.
Absolutely.
And your commissioner court and your county judge isn't going to try to challenge immunity. And so essentially, this law and order crowd doesn't want any laws applying to them if they're in office, controlling the money and policies of what the government is doing around any issue.
We are racially, ideologically, and in many different ways, we are illegitimate on our faces. We are illegitimate. Our existence is illegitimate. There are some who have that illegitimately just conferred to them at birth by who they are, and then there are others whom I guess take views that leave you out. And
yeah, they try to illegitimize you through any decision, right?
They'll illegitimize.
If you get pregnant and you decide you don't want to have that child, right? If you have interracial marriages, they want to illegitimize you, right?
Right.
There's all these things that are happening in this ideology, and a lot of people may be wondering, so what's the solution? And I think this is where it's going to be tough. There is not a silver bullet solution for this, but what we do know as members of the Texas Grassroots Alliance is that if the public wants to keep sending all of their money to candidates as a way of trying to save us from this issue, they need to understand that they are not going to be the sole solution. Can better representation improve it? Absolutely. But to hold that representation accountable, to ensure we get better representation in place, you need to fund the grassroots organizers.
Right.
And this is what the Texas Grassroots Alliance is about. You need to fund autonomous grassroots organizing to be able to challenge the status quo, regardless of political affiliation, regardless of level of government, so that the community is emboldened to make sure that these things don't happen locally. And this is where Dallas organizers trying to block this cop city. You know, this is where Tarrant organizers trying to stop the county judge, and will now probably be jumping on this DA that's trying to, charge Crystal Mason.
They're trying to get rid of Travis County DA.
Exactly. Yep. They're trying to get rid of Travis County DA. They're trying to get removed elected official from Bell County, right? Is what we heard recently. Right. So, and the Houston ISD has already had its takeover and all of their board of trustees removed. So absolutely, if we want to stop this, we have to get out of the mindset that a political party and elected officials are our sole solution. Right. They are a part of a solution potentially, but what we need is a vast investment in grassroots organizers, because they are the experts on the ground who will be able to build the power and capacity to change what is happening right now.
And we'll have the autonomy to address electeds. We'll have the autonomy to say, it's good to do electoral politics. I understand that. I mean, it's essential. And I want to be real clear about this, because people say you got to vote, you got to vote, you got to vote, you got to vote. well, you got to vote.
Yep. So Danita's going to have to leave. We're going to go ahead and probably wrap up our live stream here. So bye, Danita.
Thank you, Danita. Bye. Danita's excellent.
But yes, get involved. One thing that people can do right now is donate to the Texas Grassroots Alliance.
That's right.
It shows that we've got a great audience here with us today. We're on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And
That's
so
right.
if you want to help the work that is going to be needed to stop this, this is not going to be a short turnaround. This is not going to be solved in the
No.
2024 election, no matter what anybody says. Can we try to slow it down?
Right.
Potentially, yes, there's that opportunity, right? But to fundamentally change what the hell is going on in Texas and throughout the country and this development of authority and infrastructure, we need grassroots organizers to be mobilized, to have autonomy, and to have the resources to do their work. And you can
Right.
donate to the Texas Grassroots Alliance to help us make that happen, so that
Right.
we can continue to work throughout all these communities in Texas. I mean, Neil has highlighted in the past, we've had folks from Waco, from Houston, from Tarrant, from Dallas, from Bowie,
Texarkana.
We've had folks in Central Texas, a little further south to Guadalupe. We're connected to organizers in South Texas that I don't know if we brought into the live stream yet, but we'll definitely be doing that soon. And so we've got to stay connected. We've got folks in El Paso as a part of the alliance, folks in Lubbock. We have folks connected throughout the state, but they need resources, and we need to start getting serious about this. There's millions of dollars going to campaigns every day, and we are seeing that elected officials are just not going to be equipped to fight this on their own, no matter how great we think they are. We need a grassroots organizing infrastructure to be able to ensure this work gets done and these solutions get put into place to solve this authoritarian problem we have right now.
Right. You don't navigate these systems so successfully to become an elected official to turn on them. And these authoritarian, and what we've been doing has left us 7 or 8 months short of Trump's return. People arguing the Supreme Court for assassinating their political rivals. Not that I can say that y'all don't know, but if you connect where this is all headed, and we have to be able to hold our elected, and we have to be willing to criticize the Democratic Party. There are differences between the two parties, and I say this every time because so often people say, you're helping Trump, you're telling me not to vote. I'm not telling you any of that. We can hold multiple ideas at once, as we all do. And these authoritarian threats are real, and our elected officials need to realize that they need to be willing to take political risks, career risks, physical risks for what's coming. And we need autonomous voices to be able to say that to them, to think that doing the same when we are at this point, and to think that doing more of the same is the productive course or the right course. I don't get that. So we will show up, and we will leave we show up repeatedly and try to leave a lasting infrastructure. And even the best campaign of that best person you like, winner, if they lose, they're gone. And if they win, then they recreate the wheel to be reelected 4 years, 2 years later. So let's have continuous, autonomous organizing right where you live.
All right. Well, thanks everyone for joining us today. We know a lot's going on this week. We're looking forward to being back tomorrow. And if for whatever reason tomorrow doesn't happen, stay tuned with us next week. We're going to have shows. We've already got shows lined up that we're really excited about, bringing on more organizers and continuing to talk about the work that's needed this year and beyond. Thanks, everyone.